my pleasure to welcome each of you to Matthew Gilbert Middle School. My name is Evan Daniels, and I have the pleasure of serving as principal at this amazing building. The entire Gilbert community is extremely excited to have been selected as the site for the launching of the Read It Forward JAX Reading Initiative, a community-wide effort to increase literacy among Duval County students. But this campaign is not just about reading. It's also about partnerships. It's about how the Jacksonville community can come together and join Duval County Public Schools in helping to teach our children about the importance of reading. At this time, I will introduce our special guest from Duval County Public Schools, the City of Jacksonville, business and nonprofit community, who will share more about Read It Forward JAX. To my immediate right, Mayor John Payton, Mayor-elect Alvin Brown, Sheriff John Rutherford, and Jacksonville Jacksonville Commerce Chairman and CEO of Baptist Health, Hugh Green, Superintendent Ed Pratt-Daniels, School Board Chair W.C. Gentry, and School Board Member Paula D. Wright. I'd also like to recognize Senator Tony Hill and Glow Scurry-Smith, representing Lieutenant Governor Carroll. Thank you for being with us this morning. At Matthew Gilbert Middle School, developing students into proficient readers is a priority. This year, under the umbrella of our school-wide reading campaign, our students have participated in a plethora of activities, both in and out of the classroom, that have not only helped to increase comprehension, but also develop a love of reading. From a visit by the WWE's Layla and Kofi Kingston for students who participated in the WrestleMania Reading Challenge, to contributing 11,000 minutes in the school district's million-minute marathon during the state's Literacy Week, to performing Reader's Theater for kindergarten students at R.L. Brown Elementary, our partner school directly across the street, and sharing morning story time with first and second graders there. As well, at Matthew Gilbert Middle School, we read it forward. What do we do? Read it forward. And now, Superintendent of Duval County Public Schools, Mr. Ed Pratt-Daniels.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daniels. Thank you, students and teachers, for being here present. All of our honored guests on the platform. In the front two rows, it represents a lot of the who's who of Jacksonville. I'd particularly like to recognize our school board, who has been solidly for this effort. They have been pointing out the need. They have been helping us frame how we move forward. And so I'd like them to stand and be recognized. We have Mr. Gentry and Ms. Wright on the stage, and our other 5 board members are all here. Please stand and be recognized. Duval County. These are extremely challenging times in terms of our budget. You're reading that every day on the front of the Times Union. And yet, when we look at our results from last year, we said we have some work to do. As you know, all of our work is guided by our strategic plan. One of those areas is in academic improvement, and particularly in the area of reading. We moved forward significantly in the other areas, but we have not moved forward as much as we need to in the reading area and also the writing area. And so we began this last fall. We began to say, what are we doing? What does our curriculum look like? What is our professional development, our materials? How are we providing extra time for students? How are we integrating after school with that? How are we integrating Saturday with that? And then we brought in some national experts to look at that, to give us some feedback on how what we're doing and what we might need to do. So we felt like first we had to look internally. Are we doing everything that we can to be effective as a school district? The next thing we said is this really has to be a community-wide effort. It has to be an effort on the part of everyone in Jacksonville to focus on literacy, on reading, and that be the conversation that's happening in our community. When you see somebody on the street, you do your greetings and then ask, so what are you reading? And that's a very common statement now. That's heard everywhere. Businesses open their meeting with what they're reading. Churches open up their worship service with what they're reading. Everybody focuses on this because for us to move forward as a community, we have to have our public school performance move forward. And to do that, whether it's in the area of eliminating the achievement gap, having more students graduate on time, or having our students meet those academic requirements, reading is the key and the focus. So I am excited that we have put resources there, even in this huge, difficult time in our budget, to focus on two primary areas. Equipping our teachers more effectively to teach students, particularly in K-3, but having all grades represented to build upon that success so that all students are reading at grade level by 3rd grade, and then keeping that going throughout. And then the second area has to do with providing significantly more time for students who are behind, and again, especially in grades K-3. And so this summer, we're extending dramatically the number of students that will be participating and requiring them to be there. If they're not there, then it's considered you're not in attendance, the same way you're not in attendance during the regular 180 days. And so we're serious about this. We're putting a lot of funding here, so we need to make sure that that happens. We are confident with more time, with highly qualified instructors, that we are going to move forward dramatically in this area and change the face of Jacksonville. But again, we can't do it alone. Part of the reason we have our representatives here from government, from business, from many other arenas, has to do with the fact that this has to be a community-wide effort. And there are going to be some specific asks for specific groups that are going to help us move this work forward. And so I'm excited. I think this is the answer to a number of the issues that we have going on, and it's a great pleasure at this point now to introduce to you Mayor John Payton, a champion for literacy in Duval County.
Good morning. It is great to be at Matthew Gilbert, and it is great to be with all these highly important, stuffy people on the stage. But it's more exciting to be with this row back here, the students of Matthew Gilbert. All of you, that's why I'm excited to be here. But let's recognize, as our superintendent has, some of the folks that are here that have taken time out of their schedule to be with us and to show our appreciation. But then ask the question, why is it the busiest people in the city of Jacksonville, the people who have the toughest schedules and probably the most authority and power, why are they here today, together in a room, talking about this? And that's the real question that we need to answer today, and I want to help walk you through that. Then I'm going to introduce you to someone I know you'll be very excited to hear from, and that is the person who's going to replace me in about 25 days. He is the new rock star, and I will get out of the way very soon. But I want to thank Ed for his leadership on the school board as an administrator, and of course, WC, he's the chair of the school board, and all of his colleagues on the board. It's great to be with you, Evan, again here at your school. He's been here for 2 years, I guess, now. I think when we got here, of course, the sheriff, chamber chair, and of course, this rock star right behind me to my right. We'll get him in just a minute. But it's interesting. All these folks from different sectors. You've got the business community represented here. You've got law enforcement represented here. You've got the school board here. You've got major philanthropic foundations that contribute money to great causes. You've got educators here, and then we've got students. And I think the reason we're all here is because we came to the same conclusion, collectively. The greatness of our city is based on our ability to reach out and educate our kids, to make sure Jacksonville has the best education system, second to none, and that every student has a chance. Because someday, we're going to need a new mayor. And I hope that person's sitting in the audience. But we owe it to the students here to give you the toolbox to make sure you can rise to the occasion to pursue any dream job you want. And when we drill down even further, we know that literacy, reading, is the platform. It is the foundation for learning. And if we do a better job at that specifically, we will be a better community, we will be a more productive community, our workforce will be smarter, our streets will be safer, we will be more competitive, we can attract the kind of jobs here we want to attract. So that's why we focus on this, is to help give you the toolbox so you have no limitations. And that's why I, as mayor, have focused on literacy exclusively for 8 years, recognizing that early literacy in particular is the #1 predictor. How well a student reads early on is the #1 predictor for how far you're going to go what kind of school grades you get, whether you stay in school, what kind of job you get, even whether a crime is committed. It's a predictor for us. So we know if we can do a better job at it, we all of us, law enforcement, business, charitable foundations, educators alike, we all benefit from that. So that's why we're here, and that's why we're celebrating. And how lucky am I? How lucky am I to be followed by someone who holds the same belief and has the same commitment to education and to literacy. This is something that we have been passionate about in the city for a long time. And I think we're making great strides. And the school board is going to do their part under the leadership of Ed Pratt-Daniels and, of course, their chair, WC. We're going to continue this push. And we're going to continue to unify every sector of this community to make sure that every single student has an extraordinary opportunity to be competitive and to pursue that dream job and to rise to levels of leadership and contribute to this workforce. So it's really, really a good opportunity. Now, having said that, the thing I'm most excited about is I'm going to be out of this job in just 25 minutes. I'm tired. But the new guy's not tired. This guy showed us his energy, his enthusiasm, his vision, and his optimism for our city. I will tell you, I was inspired by watching his campaign, watching this man connect with the citizens of this community. He was an underdog, not expected to win, but he outworked his competition. And I will tell you, it's because he has a passion for what he's about to do. I've enjoyed knowing him for over 8 years. I've enjoyed watching him campaign. You know what some people don't know? I tried to hire this guy 8 years ago. I told the editorial board that yesterday, Lucy, you did what? I said, yeah, I tried to hire him. He's one of the first people I tried to hire before I was even in office. We've got a great mayor coming to Jacksonville. He's going to do a great job. So would you join me in welcoming the next rock star of Jacksonville, Florida, Alvin Brown.
Thank you, Mayor Payton. I'm grateful for the foundation that you've laid with Rally Jacks. It was because of your vision and commitment to young people, to empower them with the tools and resources. Let's give him a hand for his leadership. You know, the protocol has been established, and so I want to thank all of my colleagues for being here today. I want to thank the school board members and all the individuals, both in the public sector and private sector, who believe, like me, that education is a great equalizer. As many of you know, I'm so humbled and honored to be the next mayor of this great city, but I'm also proud of my two sons, Joshua and Jordan. You know, Mayor, they were a part of your book club when you launched the book club. They were a part of your Rally Jacks. And instilling in them the purpose of reading is so important. Like you, they go to public schools. My wife is involved in PTA. We believe in the public school system. I've been working with the school board, school superintendent, parents, and teachers for years. You know, like you, many of the students in the back, next week they'll be excited because they'll be out for summer school, right? And they're going to want to go play and swim and do all the things that you do in the summertime, but they're also going to read. They're going to pick up that book. Now, for me, it's personal. It's personal because, Senator Hill, you know, when I was raised by two strong women who raised 5 kids by themselves, worked 2 jobs, and they never went to college. But they instilled in me a sense of faith and hard work, Mayor Missouri. And I remembered, Mayor Payton, as it was yesterday, that I was asked to be in this play, Sheriff Rutherford, and I didn't want to be in the play because I couldn't read at the level of the other kids. Many of the other kids' parents had gone to the best colleges and universities. Their kids went to the best summer programs that you could offer. And so they were well prepared and they could compete. So I be in that play. And you're going to compete. And she taught me how to read by reading the Bible, the King James Version, Martha Barrett. Can you imagine being young and can't even pronounce the words? But that's how I learned how to read. It was my grandmother and my mother, but she taught me every day, 7 days a week. And because of that, I'm here today. Because someone had that vision for me. Someone believed the value of a good education. And so I owe it to her and my mother, who never went to college but knew the value of reading. As your next mayor, I will be committed to working with all the key stakeholders in this city that was mentioned earlier. The chamber, the school board, the school superintendent, Sheriff Rutherford, and many of you who are here today. See, I believe when you empower young people intellectually, they can achieve academically and compete economically. Education gives you options. In order to do that, you have to read. We have to make it a priority. And so, I myself have gone through the challenges that some of you may be going through today. But in the end, you'll be better off. I want to make sure that I build on the foundation that Mayor Payton has laid out that says he believes that education is the great equalizer, and it starts with reading. When we work together, we can empower a whole generation. We will have the best skilled workforce. We will be able to compete in the global economy. This will be the best public school system in the country when we invest in early education. Do you agree with that? Yeah. And so I take this seriously. It's not just words for me. It's not a photo op. My election has always been about Jacksonville. It's been about your kids and your grandkids, to make sure that they reach their God-given potential. It's about making sure we close the education gap. And when we do, not only you can be the best mayor, but you can be that great entrepreneur that launched that best, the best business in this city. You can be that great physician, Betty Burney, that doctor, that lawyer, that great teacher, that great principal, the next superintendent of Duval County Schools, right in this room, when we work together. You can be the next editor of the Times-Union. You can be that next entrepreneur like Cleve Warren, making all that money. That's right. And so, Sheriff, how are you going to read it forward? You have an opportunity. I want to put you out of business. See, I know how to make sure we don't have these large buildings that they're building. I want to put them out of business. See, when you close the education gap, crime will keep going down, and they got to cut the FOP staff, reduce the officers. They're going to have nothing to do. Right? Right, Ms. Willis? So, it really is important we take it seriously. Mr. Chairman, I look forward to working with you to close the education gap. Paula Wright, you know, I know why you ran to be a school board member. And you epitomize what education is all about. And now it's my pleasure to introduce and bring up somebody who needs no introduction, but someone we're going to put out of business so that we can focus on prevention, educating the next generation, of young people so they can read, because I don't want him knowing any of these young people on the other side. Let's give him a hand.
Thank you, Mayor-elect Albert Brown. And, you know, I know your passion and love for this city, whether it was working together on the Willie Gary Classic or watching you campaign. I know your heart for this city. I want to apologize for my voice today. I wanted to make sure I got this 30 minutes of speech today right, so I've been practicing. Just kidding. But, you know, concerning reading, I believe this, and I tell my officers this, that the only way you can be successful in life is to be a student for life. That's right. In the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, we go back to the classroom every year. Our officers go back either in person or online. They go back through training to re-up their certification, to learn best practices in law enforcement, so that we can become the best law enforcement agency in the country. In fact, our mission is to be the premier law enforcement agency in the country. Not a premier, but the premier. And the rules an officer has to know and the training an officer receives literally fills volumes of books. And we need to know every detail about our job if we're going to be top performers. Now, I think I learn something new every day from reading and studying, and I like to consider myself dedicated to lifelong learning by reading. But I also read for fun. And this summer, I'd like all of you to read at least the one book that I know you're committed to, just for fun, because reading can be fun. And on my end, I will promise this to you, Mr. Superintendent, and to the rest of the school board. Whenever you ask the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office for assistance, we will be there for you, as the men and women of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office have in the past, being ready and willing to help in whatever manner you can. So kids, remember your promise to read this summer, and this summer, read it forward. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce another individual that I know cares about business in this community, cares about the health of our community, and cares deeply about the education level of our community. And that is our next speaker, Chair of the Jacksonville Regional Chamber of Commerce, Hugh Green.
I was getting a little nervous when you took that mic. I didn't know if you were going to sing a swan song. It's an honor to share the stage, and we look forward to sharing many more stages. Mayor like Brown, how thrilled we are to pledge our support for you as we move forward, not only in education, but on so many other fronts. I stand alongside several business leaders today to demonstrate our support for the Read It Forward initiative. And I just would like to ask, there are about a dozen members of the Board of the Chamber of Commerce here, President of the Chamber while he leaves in the back. If you folks would just stand, members of the business community, including Chamber members, all stand. Soon after the executive of the Players Championship, we've made a tremendous commitment to young people in education as well. Matt, you're standing, so I want to acknowledge you as a member of the Chamber Board. Certainly, as members of the business community, we understand the need for highly educated, highly motivated individuals who call Jacksonville their home, and who, as the mayor said, will be our future workforce and future leaders, many of whom are in this room. In fact, speaking for the Chamber of Commerce, there is no strategy more important than the education of the children and youth of our community through the Monroe Public School System. We're committed to young people being successful in life, and the first step toward a successful future, as has already been said, is what we hear about today, and that begins with the opening of a book. Perhaps of all the strategies we could be about as business folks, none is more important and none is potentially more effective than to create successful readers. Reading is key. And so I join with the others here today to pledge to those of you who are future leaders of Jacksonville and to pledge to the leaders of our school system that we are going to be highly committed to Read It Forward. And we're pledging to donate our efforts and our resources to make this program succeed. And I want to do a shout out, if I can. St. Vincent's Health System was the first to step up to make a major pledge. Acosta stepped up with another major donation in the last little bit, joined by Baptist Health, and others are waiting in line to step up and to make contributions to make this a successful program. Again, I would just assert that there is no greater investment or wiser investment that we can make to help prepare readers. And so I'm thrilled, and thank you, Chairman Gentry, and thank you to the Ball County School Board, who are all friends, and to Superintendent Pratt Daniels for inviting us to be partners in this effort, and we pledge to read it forward with you. Thanks.
So some of you may be wondering, why did we come to Matthew Gilbert to kick off the Read It Forward JAX campaign? A lot of it had to do with the fact that students here at middle school are helping the students at R.L. Brown become better readers. And part of what this Read It Forward JAX campaign is about is recognizing, in the same way if you remember the movie Pay It Forward, it's about recognizing those who have brought you to where you are and helping someone else succeed. So middle school students, your teachers, your parents and others have helped you learn how to read, and now you're helping the elementary students learn how to read. That's what it means in a citywide campaign. So we're going to have the business community with Acosta and St. Vincent's and Baptist and many more, building our classroom libraries, having this new technology called Textbook TV. There's going to be a demonstration after we finish here today over there in the corner, so that students who don't have internet access can be able to access all of the reading and educational materials that you can access on the internet. And so corporations and nonprofits and philanthropists are going to help us in securing those. They're going to help us with more tutors and mentors and emulate what you have done in helping the R.L. Brown students, to create an army of volunteers to help us move forward our results in reading so that we can be successful. So look at the people here on stage, students. As was said earlier, you can be up here in 15, 20 years. The next mayor, the next sheriff, the next chairman of Baptist Health Systems, a school board member, a principal, a superintendent. It's all dependent on what you do now, and especially in this area of reading. So I want you to join me in shouting out for Read It Forward JAX. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Read it forward, JAX! Read it